As I said earlier, we have a lot of good friends that are helping us in this fight, members of the House and the members of the Senate. And again, we have friends that have been loyal to us on every fight. None any more than the ones we've already heard from, but that now includes our senator from Minnesota, Senator Al Frankin. Al, come on up.
Thank you, Leo, and your fake Canadian accent. Let me tell you what this is about. I'm a member now of 3, and paid up member of 3 labor unions. And I believe in labor. I believe in you. Now, when it's done right, trade can help American workers and communities, but it's got to be done right. And it can't be just about other countries being able to dump their imports here in the United States. But that is happening now, and it is happening in steel. And I was just up on the Iron Range in Minnesota, and we have, in the last several weeks, been told that we're losing over 1,000 jobs at 2 taconite plants. And that's because we aren't enforcing trade agreements that we have. We have countries, China, South Korea, Mexico, dumping steel below their cost in this country. And it's costing us jobs, American jobs. Now, I was in a union where I wrote comedy. It's hard to get someone in China to write comedy for the United States. It just is. But when they're using Chinese workers to make steel and then dumping it at lower prices here, we have to enforce trade agreements. We can't write trade agreements that can't be enforced. And that's why we have to, Sherrod was exactly right about how little transparency there has been in this process. And we have to be able to see what's in this process before we're going to say, yeah, let's have an up or down vote. We have to be able to see what's there, and what we have to do, what we have to make sure is there is agreements that can be enforced. We know there's harm being done to our workers. I was up in Virginia, Minnesota, on the Iron Range, and talked to a worker who's being laid off at the Mintac plant. And not only was he being laid off, but his wife was being laid off too. And they have 2 kids in college. That's hurt. That's hurt. No one has to prove that. I saw it with my own eyes. That's harm. And we should be taking action. And Commerce should be taking action. And the U.S. ITC should be taking action. And the reason they aren't is because we have trade agreements that aren't enforceable. And we will not stand for an agreement that doesn't have protections for the environment, that doesn't make sure that people, that other countries aren't manipulating their currency, that doesn't have protection for the environment, and that aren't enforceable. because then they're worthless. So I want to thank my brothers and sisters. I want to thank you for being here today. Sherrod's right. The work you do will be across the street. Tell your representatives, tell your senators exactly what is going on. Tell them exactly what's going on and how it's affecting you. Those 1,000 jobs in Minnesota, they affect tens of thousands of Minnesotans up on the range. They affect those communities, those families. Those are Americans. Those are Minnesotans. That's who I represent. And I know the harm that our previous trade agreements have done, and we cannot go forward with a trade agreement that isn't enforceable and that doesn't protect American workers. Thank you.